The academy floated high above the clouds of the planet Bellora, its silver towers shining in the twin suns' light. Students from dozens of worlds walked through the grand gates, their alien voices mixing in a strange harmony. Among them, a young human named Ethan stepped forward, his heart pounding with nervous excitement. Ethan had trained for years on Earth, but he was still considered a novice by galactic standards. His uniform was plain compared to the other students, and his boots looked worn from long practice sessions. Some aliens glanced at him with curiosity, others with quiet amusement. "This human won't last a week," whispered a tall, four-armed creature with purple skin, glancing at Ethan with a smirk. Ethan ignored them and focused on the massive academy before him. Its halls were filled with holographic displays, weapon simulations, and trainers who had fought in real interstellar wars. The academy was famous for turning ordinary humans and aliens into elite warriors. As Ethan walked through the main corridor, a strange feeling ran down his spine. The air seemed heavier than he remembered, and the distant hum of engines felt almost alive. He tried to shake it off, thinking it was just nerves. The first class began with a basic combat drill. The instructor was a silver-scaled alien who towered over the students. His eyes glowed faintly as he spoke. "Today, we test observation and reaction, not strength, not speed, observation." Ethan listened carefully, remembering every move he had practiced. During the drill, aliens around him moved with lightning speed, their forms blurring as they dodged, attacked, and countered. Ethan stumbled at first, but he quickly adapted. Watching patterns, predicting movements, he surprised even himself when he managed to counter a strike from a Crithian warrior, one of the fastest species in the academy. After the drill, students gathered in the central courtyard, laughing, boasting, and showing off their skills. Ethan stood quietly to the side, observing rather than competing. He noticed strange footprints near the edge of the courtyard, too large for any trainee, and too deep, as if something heavy had passed by. Suddenly, a warning alarm blared. The academy's artificial sky turned a deep red, signaling an intrusion. Students froze, some panicking, some trainers shouted orders, but the intruders were already visible on the distant hills, shadows moving faster than any normal creature, shapes that seemed to glide over the ground. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dark, scanning the academy like predators looking for prey. Everyone expected chaos, but Ethan felt something unusual: calmness, focus, a strange connection to the movement of these creatures. The other students were running, hiding, or preparing for direct combat, but Ethan stayed put, analyzing, learning, and planning. The creatures came closer, their claws digging into the soil, leaving marks that looked like jagged lightning. Trainers readied weapons, and the air was thick with tension. Ethan stepped forward, not out of fearlessness, but because he felt he understood something the others did not. One of the predators stopped at the edge of the courtyard, tilting its head. Its glowing eyes seemed to examine Ethan. For a moment, nothing happened, then it let out a low, rumbling growl, almost like a warning. The other predators froze too. Something about the human had caught their attention. Whispers spread among the students. "What is he doing? Why isn't he running?" "He's just a trainee," some said, but Ethan noticed a pattern in their movement, the way they responded to certain signals. He had trained for this, studied alien behaviors, and now it seemed the knowledge was more valuable than any weapon. Trainers approached him, cautious. "Step back, human," one shouted, but Ethan shook his head, his eyes never leaving the creatures. The predators hissed, uncertain. They expected fear, panic, or at least hesitation. Instead, they met a human standing tall, calm, and ready. The red sky slowly faded, replaced by the usual blue of Bellora's atmosphere. The predators retreated, disappearing into the hills as quickly as they had come. Students stared in disbelief, some still shaking with fear. Trainers looked at Ethan with a mixture of suspicion and awe. "You," a silver-scaled instructor said slowly, "you noticed patterns that none of the others did." Ethan nodded, feeling a quiet pride, but he also knew this was just the beginning. The predators were not gone forever, and the academy would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. That night, Ethan walked through the empty halls of the academy. The stars above Bellora glimmered, and he felt both small and powerful at the same time. He was still a novice, still learning, but he had taken the first step in showing the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. As he looked out over the hills where the predators had disappeared, Ethan felt a strange thrill. Something bigger was coming, and he knew he would face it. He was ready to prove himself, even if the universe doubted him. And somewhere in the shadows, the predators waited, their glowing eyes fixed on the young human who had refused to flee. Something had changed in the galaxy, and it all began with one novice standing tall. The morning sun rose over the academy, painting the towers with gold and orange hues. Students gathered for a new day of drills, but an uneasy tension hung in the air. Whispers spread quickly. Did you see the human yesterday? He faced predators alone. Some trainees shook their heads, unable to believe it. Ethan walked through the courtyard, his steps quiet but confident. Other students stared, some with curiosity, others with envy. He ignored the stares, focusing on his own training. Today was the first full combat simulation, a test designed to measure reflexes, intelligence, and teamwork. Trainers activated the holographic battle arena. Simulated predators sprang to life around the students, their movements swift and aggressive. Aliens of all kinds rushed forward, swinging energy blades, firing plasma blasters, while humans dodged and countered. Ethan observed quietly, his mind calculating every pattern. Suddenly, the simulation changed. A warning siren blared, signaling a real breach. Outside the academy walls, small predator squads had appeared, their claws scraped the metal gates, their eyes glowing red with hunger. Panic spread quickly, students scrambled for weapons, but some froze in fear. Ethan didn't move. He scanned the predators, noticing their speed and approach. Something about their movement was different, more chaotic than yesterday. He realized they were testing the academy's defenses, probing weaknesses, not attacking outright yet. The predators entered the courtyard, growling and snapping. Aliens and humans alike backed away, weapons fired, but the creatures moved with terrifying agility, dodging, weaving, striking with precision. The chaos was overwhelming, screams filling the air. And then Ethan acted, calmly, almost methodically. He observed the angles, the timing of their strikes, and the gaps in their formation. Instead of attacking immediately, he directed humans to take specific positions, using quick hand signals and gestures. The predators reacted to these subtle moves, confusion flashing in their glowing eyes. One of the trainers, a massive alien with tentacles, shouted, "What is he doing? Step back." But the students followed his instructions, surprised at how effective the simple movements were. Ethan had turned fear into order, and suddenly, humans and aliens moved as one, a coordinated force. The predators paused, tilting their heads as if sensing something unusual. Then they lunged, faster than before, yet Ethan anticipated every move, guiding his team, dodging attacks, and countering with precision. Even the smallest trainee seemed stronger, sharper, more confident under his direction. One predator, larger than the others, stepped forward, its claws digging into the ground, its growl deep and resonant, shaking the courtyard. Ethan froze for a moment, meeting its glowing eyes. Then he acted, sidestepping and using a combination of agility and logic, guiding the predator into a trap of force fields and energy nets. The creature roared in frustration but couldn't break free. Other predators watched, sensing the strength of this human. For the first time, they hesitated, unsure if they could attack. Ethan's calm confidence had become a weapon more powerful than any blade or gun. Students whispered among themselves, "He's just a trainee, how is he doing this? Is he controlling them?" None of them fully understood, but they followed his lead, inspired by his composure and clever thinking. The predators retreated slightly, regrouping at the edges of the courtyard, their glowing eyes never leaving Ethan. It was clear, they had learned respect, or perhaps fear. The academy had faced predators before, but never one who could guide humans so effortlessly. After the first wave of the attack, trainers rushed over, examining Ethan's strategy. "Remarkable," one muttered, "he sees patterns no one else can." Another instructor frowned, "This human may be dangerous, not just to predators, but to expectations." Ethan didn't smile, he only nodded quietly, aware that this was only the beginning. The predators would return, stronger and smarter, but so would he. Today he had proved he could survive, and more importantly, he could lead. As night fell over the academy, Ethan stood at the top of one of the towers, looking out over the training grounds. The courtyard was quiet now, littered with marks of battle, and the distant hills seemed calm, but he knew better. He could feel the predators watching, learning, waiting. A strange hum filled the air, different from the usual mechanical sounds of the academy. It was almost like a pulse, syncing with his heartbeat. He wondered if it was coming from the predators or something even bigger, the feeling of being tested, of being watched, ran through him. And somewhere in the shadows beyond the academy, the largest predator from the courtyard lifted its head, its eyes reflecting the tower lights. It seemed to recognize Ethan, or perhaps something within him. Its growl was low, almost a warning, as if it knew this human was no ordinary trainee. Ethan clenched his fists, a spark of determination burning inside him. He was just a novice, yes, but he had seen what humans could do, what intelligence, courage, and strategy could achieve. This was only the first encounter, but it had changed everything. The predators had learned to pause, to hesitate, and that pause was all humans needed. And as he descended back into the academy halls, ready for the next day of training, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something far greater than this first encounter was coming, something that would test not only his skills but the very limits of what humans could achieve in the galaxy. The next morning, the academy was unusually quiet. A sense of anticipation hung in the air, as if the entire planet was holding its breath. Ethan moved through the halls with calm confidence, feeling eyes on him from every corner. Some trainees whispered, "He survived the predators yesterday, how?" Others simply stared in awe, unable to believe what they had seen. Trainers gathered for the day's advanced combat drills. The challenge was simple on paper, a simulated ambush by alien raiders, but today, Ethan knew it would be more than a drill. He could feel the predators watching, studying, testing him again. As the simulation began, holographic raiders appeared, attacking with unpredictable movements. Students lunged and dodged, some panicking, some bravely fighting back. Ethan observed quietly, his mind calculating every angle, every flaw. He realized that success would not come from strength alone, but from intelligence, strategy, and timing. He moved with precision, guiding his fellow trainees with subtle gestures and short commands. Left flank, cover him. Take high ground, now. His directions were simple but effective. Each trainee moved as if part of a single organism, responding to his guidance without hesitation. A group of raiders appeared from the shadows, faster and stronger than the first wave. They lunged at a young alien trainee, ready to strike, but Ethan anticipated the move, pulling the trainee back with a quick tug. Then he triggered a small energy trap, capturing two raiders in glowing nets. The other raiders hesitated, surprised by his foresight. Some students whispered, "How is he doing this? He's just a human." Ethan ignored the chatter, focusing on the flow of the battle. The predators outside the academy had taught him something, taught him how to observe, predict, and act with calm logic. Suddenly, the ground shook, a tremor running through the courtyard. Holographic raiders flickered, glitching in and out, but Ethan noticed something strange, real shadows moving at the edge of the training grounds, not part of the simulation, but real, living predators, hiding, watching, waiting. Trainers shouted, "It's a breach! Real predators!" Panic spread among the students, weapons fired wildly. Some ran for cover, others froze in fear, but Ethan stepped forward, analyzing the predators' patterns. Their claws scraped the ground lightly, their glowing eyes scanning the students, sizing them up. Ethan made his move, not with brute force, but with intelligence. He led his team through a series of maneuvers, guiding them around obstacles, using traps and energy barriers to control the battlefield. Each predator that lunged forward was met with a carefully calculated counter, slowing them down, confusing them. One predator, larger and more terrifying than the rest, lunged directly at Ethan, its eyes glowing with a strange awareness. Most students would have panicked, frozen in terror, but Ethan stood his ground, sidestepping at the last moment, luring it into a narrow corridor. He triggered a set of automated force fields, trapping the predator temporarily. It roared in frustration, but could not escape. The other predators watched in hesitation, almost as if they recognized something in Ethan. They had come to test humans, to prove that the galaxy's strongest species could dominate, but this human was different. His calmness, intelligence, and clever tactics unsettled them, made them pause, rethink their approach. Trainers and students alike stared in disbelief. "He's not just surviving, he's controlling them," one muttered, eyes wide. "He's leading them." Another whispered, "It's as if he knows their thoughts." Ethan did not respond, focusing on the task, aware that this was only the beginning. As the predators retreated temporarily, regrouping at the edges of the courtyard, Ethan felt a surge of understanding, a strange clarity. He realized that the battle was not about defeating them with weapons, but about understanding them, predicting them, and using that knowledge to outsmart them. That evening, Ethan stood alone in the training room, reviewing the day's events. He replayed every movement, every reaction, every subtle hint of the predator's behavior in his mind. A realization struck him: humans were underestimated across the galaxy, seen as fragile, weak, and unskilled, yet here he was, proving that intelligence, courage, and observation could make humans a force to be reckoned with. From the shadows outside the academy, the largest predator watched silently, its glowing eyes fixed on Ethan. It had learned something new today, something that changed the way it saw humans, and perhaps the entire academy. The creature turned and disappeared into the hills, but its eyes lingered in Ethan's mind, a promise that the next encounter would be far more dangerous. Ethan clenched his fists, determination burning inside him. He was no longer just a novice, he had discovered his hidden strength, not in muscles or weapons, but in observation, intelligence, and the ability to lead. The galaxy had underestimated humans for too long, and he was ready to change that. And somewhere deep in the shadows of Valora, the predators prepared, knowing that the next encounter would not be a simple test, but a battle that could define the future of humans in the galaxy. Ethan was ready, and for the first time, he felt the thrill of true purpose. The hidden strength of one human could make the mighty pause, and the galaxy was watching. The morning sky above the academy was tinged with red, a warning that something terrible was approaching. Students hurried to the training grounds, weapons in hand, hearts pounding with fear. Today would be no ordinary drill. Ethan sensed it deep in his bones. From the distant hills, a roar echoed, shaking the very ground beneath the academy. The predators had returned, larger, stronger, and angrier than before. Their glowing eyes scanned the courtyard, hungry for chaos and dominance. The humans and alien trainees braced themselves, ready to fight, but unease ran through every body. Ethan stood at the center of the courtyard, his gaze calm and unwavering. He had learned from the previous encounters, studied the predator's movements, and now he had a plan. He called out to the students, giving short, clear commands: flank left. High ground, cover the perimeter. Watch the shadows. The predators surged forward, claws tearing through metal and dirt. Their roar was deafening, shaking the walls of the academy, yet Ethan moved with precision, guiding the trainees like a conductor leading an orchestra. Every step, every dodge, every counterattack was calculated, forcing the predators into traps and barriers. One massive predator, larger than anything they had seen before, broke through the initial defenses. Its claws flashed dangerously, aiming directly at Ethan. The students froze in terror, unsure how to stop it, but Ethan didn't panic. He stepped forward, his mind racing faster than the predator could strike. Using a combination of force fields, energy nets, and tactical positioning, he guided the predator into a narrow canyon formed by the academy's training structures. The creature roared in frustration, thrashing against the barriers, but it was trapped. For a moment, silence fell, the other predators observing, unsure how to respond. Ethan seized the moment, directing the students to press forward in coordinated attacks. Now, push them back. His commands were simple, but each trainee understood exactly what to do. Energy blasts, plasma shots, and defensive shields moved in perfect harmony, slowing the predators' advance, confusing them. The predators hesitated, unsure of this new human who led with intelligence, courage, and strategy. One by one, they began to retreat slightly, the pause growing longer with every movement Ethan made. His calmness had become a weapon more powerful than any physical strike. But the battle was far from over. From the hills, a shadow moved faster than anything seen before. A gigantic apex predator emerged, its body covered in jagged scales, its eyes glowing with a deadly intelligence. The ground shook as it moved, and the students instinctively backed away, some trembling, some frozen. Ethan's eyes narrowed, assessing the creature. He noticed subtle patterns in its movement, small tells that hinted at how it would strike. He whispered commands, guiding trainees to specific positions, creating barriers and traps designed specifically for this predator. Each step was carefully calculated, every move precise. The apex predator lunged, faster than anything Ethan had faced. Its jaws snapped dangerously close, tearing through metal and earth, but Ethan anticipated its attack, sidestepping at the last moment, pulling a trainee out of harm's way, and luring the beast into a series of energy traps. The creature roared in frustration, thrashing violently, but Ethan didn't retreat. He continued to coordinate the defense, using both brains and instincts. showing the students how humans could survive against impossible odds. Other trainees followed him, inspired by his courage and clever tactics, moving with unity, precision, and focus. The apex predator paused, growling, circling Ethan as if assessing him. Its glowing eyes seemed to measure his mind, searching for weaknesses, but Ethan remained calm, his gaze steady, his body ready. He realized the predator was testing him, just as it had tested the academy, and he was ready for the final move. With a quick signal, Ethan activated the last trap, a combination of energy nets and gravity fields designed to immobilize the predator without killing it. The creature roared, caught in the trap, struggling, its power immense but contained. Its glowing eyes never left Ethan, a silent acknowledgement that this human was no ordinary trainee. The remaining predators, seeing their leader trapped, retreated slowly, fear and respect evident in their hesitation. The courtyard was quiet once more, broken only by the heavy breathing of the students and the low hum of damaged equipment. Trainers approached Ethan, awe and disbelief written on their faces. "You," one muttered, "you led them, controlled them, defeated them." Another nodded slowly, "Humans, we underestimated them." Ethan didn't speak, he only nodded quietly, aware that the battle had changed everything. He had proven that intelligence, courage, and strategy could overcome brute strength and fear. As night fell over the academy, Ethan stood on the tower, looking at the hills where the predators had disappeared. He knew this was only the beginning. The apex predator had learned something today, something that would change how it, and the galaxy, viewed humans. Somewhere in the shadows, the largest predator lifted its head, glowing eyes fixed on Ethan, a silent promise that the next encounter would be even greater. But for now, humanity had won a victory, not through force alone, but through hidden strength, courage, and intelligence. Ethan clenched his fists, a spark of determination burning within him. He was ready for whatever the galaxy would throw at him next. The predators had retreated, but the story of the human who defied fear and led the unlikeliest defense was only beginning. And far beyond Velora, in the dark reaches of space, signals flickered from unknown worlds, hinting at challenges even greater than the predators. Ethan was ready, because humans were never just prey, they were fighters, thinkers, survivors, and the galaxy would soon learn that lesson. The academy was quiet the morning after the battle, a calm that felt almost unreal after the chaos of the previous day. Students and trainers walked cautiously through the courtyard, examining damage, cleaning debris, and tending to minor injuries. Ethan moved among them, his step steady but his mind alert. Word had spread quickly throughout the academy. The novice human had not only survived the predator attacks but had led a coordinated defense that no one thought possible. Aliens whispered in corners, glancing at Ethan with a mix of awe and disbelief, some openly bowing their heads in respect. Others shook their heads, unable to comprehend how a human could achieve such a feat. Trainers gathered him in the central hall, their expressions a mixture of pride and cautious concern. "Ethan," said the silver-scaled instructor, his voice low, "you have shown a strength we did not expect from your kind." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of their words, understanding that this recognition was more than personal, it was a shift in how humans were viewed across the galaxy. A council of alien instructors approached, their eyes scanning Ethan carefully. "You have done what no other human has," one said. "The predators learned fear, respect, and caution from you alone. Humans are not to be underestimated." Ethan listened quietly, his mind already thinking ahead. He knew this was only the beginning, the galaxy would continue to challenge him. But now they also knew humans could rise to meet impossible odds. The students approached, some hesitantly, others boldly. "You saved us," a young Crithian whispered, still amazed by the events. "How did you do it?" Ethan shrugged modestly. "I just watched, I learned, I acted." He knew it was more than that. Humans had instinct, adaptability, and intelligence that often went unrecognized, but he wanted them to see that anyone could achieve the same with courage and focus. Outside, the hills were quiet, but Ethan knew the predators were still there, observing, waiting for another opportunity. Their retreat had been tactical, not defeat, and he understood they would return one day, stronger and smarter, but for now, he allowed himself a moment of quiet triumph. The academy held a ceremony that evening, a formal recognition of Ethan's bravery and leadership. Alien dignitaries, human students, and trainers gathered, all eyes were on him as he stepped forward, receiving symbols of honor from the instructors, yet he remained humble, knowing that true strength was in action, not accolades. As the ceremony ended, A sudden signal flickered on the Academy's communication network, a faint, coded transmission from a distant sector. The message was unclear but urgent, hinting at a threat far greater than the Predators, something that could challenge the entire Academy and the galaxy itself. Ethan's eyes narrowed, a thrill running through him. He had faced Predators and survived, but this was something new, a bigger test of human ingenuity and courage. He turned to the students, who looked at him with admiration and trust. "Listen carefully," he said, "we will face greater dangers in the future, but if we stay calm, work together, and think ahead, we can overcome anything. Humans are not weak, and neither are we when we fight as one." The students nodded, inspired, feeling a sense of unity that crossed species and worlds. From the shadows beyond the Academy walls, the largest Predator of all watched silently, glowing eyes fixed on Ethan. There was recognition in its gaze, a silent acknowledgement that humans were more than they appeared. It would return, perhaps one day as an ally, perhaps as a test, but for now, the balance had shifted. Ethan stood at the edge of the courtyard, looking at the stars above Velora. The galaxy was vast, full of danger and mystery, but he felt a growing confidence, a belief that humans had a place among the stars, that courage, intelligence, and strategy could turn the impossible into reality. And somewhere far beyond, signals flickered, ships moved, and new eyes watched, waiting to see how the human who had faced Predators and survived would shape the future. Ethan smiled faintly, knowing that every challenge was an opportunity, every threat a lesson, and that the story of humanity's strength had only just begun. He clenched his fists, the thrill of purpose running through him. The Predators, the Academy, and the galaxy had witnessed something remarkable, a human novice who refused to flee, who led when others faltered, and who proved that intelligence and courage could bend the odds in favor of those who dared to rise. And as night fell over Velora, a calm settled, but the feeling of anticipation remained, for the galaxy was watching, Predators were learning, and Ethan, the once novice human, had become a symbol of hope, strength, and the unstoppable spirit of humanity. The story of one human standing tall had begun a legend that would echo across the stars, and this was only the first chapter.